God, I've created a room. I have looked at a cupboard and gone, I can fit a bed in that, as long as you write about my play. I have electrocuted myself a few times. I became an interior designer by accident, I suppose, if I'm completely honest. I didn't train. I trained as an actress, went to drama school. When I was about 28, I became a tenant of a National Trust property, and I was a custodian of that house for 10 years. I'd moved down from London with 2 small children, had no money, and during that time, one day a journalist turned up at the doorstep and he said, "Oh, I hear there's this young woman running this National Trust property. Could I write an article about it?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And I was putting a play on in the garden, "As long as you write about my play." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And I did up those rooms, and those are the rooms he photographed. Then another magazine approached saying, "Could we write about this and photograph your rooms from different angles?" So I did a few articles, each time not really ever thinking about it. A few local property developers saw these articles and asked me to do up. One has an estate locally and had some cottages, and then he had a flat in London, so I did that, and then another flat. And slowly I started gaining clients. While I was growing the business, for a large period of that time, I was a single mum to 4 boys, and I just learnt to grow the business around them. I'd work in the evenings, I'd take my baby on site. I was often in board meetings with a big throw over me breastfeeding, and they just had to put up with it basically. And then I went on a business course, and they said, "So what are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm thinking of making my plays into a theatre company." And they said, "Well, how do you survive? Because you don't do these plays very often." I said, "Oh, I do up people's houses." And they looked at them and they said, "You need to change your business right now, and you need to be an interior designer." There's a science behind colour. And there's a history to it as well. So it does, in sort of times of Henry VIII, would symbolise wealth and things like that. So they used lapis a lot in blues in churches and things because it was a very valuable stone, and it also was considered to have religious connotations of Mary in the blue, but only very wealthy people would have blue in their homes. For a reason why a lot of uniforms are blue is they're said to make you feel very safe and have authority. So traditionally policemen's uniforms blue and things like that, and it's a place of relaxation and calming your mind. And green's the same, because green is obviously reminds you of nature, and that has a very calming effect. Whereas, as I said, yellow is stimulating and can enhance joy and activities. So it's a really good colour for children's rooms as well as offices. I love yellow as a colour, and it's proven to be a really good colour for creativity and joy, and kind of I find that a really nice space to work. Red is said to enhance your appetite, hence the reason we're in a slightly reddy kitchen. It's said to draw people more to you, so it's why branding, like Coca-Cola, when people use red, because it attracts people's attention more and they want to spend more money on it, apparently. Footballers, apparently, when they wear red, perform better. So there's a whole sort of theory about it, and obviously you get different shades, so you don't have to have like bright red or, you know, like an insipid pale hospital blue, but it does affect your sort of mood and psyche. My inspirations for design, I think, is I was taken around National Trust properties a lot as a child by my granny, and my mum was a textile designer. So I grew up in fashion, not in interiors, but I grew up around a lot of fabrics and prints. So I think there's always been a kind of affinity that I have with them, in the sense I'm drawn to them. And then I think I used to just love going around all these old National Trust properties. And I suppose that was sort of like the actor in me as well. You're kind of imagining the stories. And I think that's really informed my interior design with historic houses, because I always think of them as the stories that have been before and the next chapter. For me, that's what's really interesting with old houses, is that you're kind of telling a new narrative. I'm not very good at sticking to rules. I think it's a running theme. So if someone says I can't do something, I'll go and do it, I think, probably. And so creatively, I've probably done that, but hopefully in the sort of boundaries of good taste. I think it's sort of, I've turned, you know, put bedrooms downstairs, I've turned garages into little houses. Never underestimate a shed, is what I always say. I have put a bunk in a cupboard, I have made it safe so that you can shut the cupboard and they can still breathe. It's quite an important point if you are going to put a bunk in a cupboard. And it's had a spotlight in it, and it had a little shelf, and things like that are great for kids because it is that sort of hiding aspect. I built it was based on a train carriage, but also I've got a thing about like the Orient Express and trains, and I like to sleep on a train, which I've never done. But I basically built one in my children's room, whether they wanted it or not. I was going to have like a train bunk or like a cabin in a boat. Honestly, whenever any kid came over, whatever age, they just wanted to sleep in that room. And it was also really practical because you had all the drawers, so you'd hidden, storage within the thing. And it was a totally boring box room previously. So at Leeds Castle, I did a project called Battle Hall, which was a commercial project. And I did want it to be a very sort of cozy, lovely room. And I walked in and I went, oh my God, I've created a womb. And fortunately, because I knew what I was doing, when all the fabrics and the curtains and the cushions and everything went in, it all kind of worked really well. And lots of people have often contacted me on Instagram going, I've never thought of painting a room like a womb, but I really love that colour, and I'm going to go and do that in my sitting room now because it's really cosy. The main things about renovations are probably the cost. Anybody who thinks it's going to cost what they say it's going to cost it's never going to cost that, and you have to be really realistic. So that can be really stressful. So if you kind of acknowledge the fact it's going to cost way more than you anticipate, then you're going to have less angst about it. And I think if you are trying to do a renovation with a family, you sort of have to make it fun. So you have to give the children quite a lot of say. The disruption is really bad. So try and do it more in the summer where you can have children outside and in the garden and being able to go out, or if you feel like your builders are capable of coping on their own, do it when you can go on holiday for a week and things like that. And then let everybody sort of have a say. I think I'm pretty hands-on because I think out of necessity, having been on my own, that I need to get things done. I like painting. I find it very therapeutic. I'm known to hammer in quite a few nails and drill a few holes because I guess I'm quite impatient as well. So I don't want to wait for someone else to do it. If I suddenly have an impulsive idea about, I have electrocuted myself a few times, which is probably not brilliant, but because you just want to get something done. But yeah, I'm pretty hands-on. My dad's an engineer, and I'm an only child, so he taught me things like to wire a plug when I was really little. And when I'm working on a project, to stereotype slightly, but the male colleagues will often be very surprised that I do understand lighting design and plumbing. It's called MEP, but it's lighting, electricity and plumbing and everything. So I will do the plans of that in the project. It's not just the sort of frilly curtains and cushions. And then like, oh, who put that radiator there? I said, I did, because that's where it needs to go. I think that fashion and interiors are intrinsically linked. I see them as one thing, and I always joke that I'm slightly dressed like the room I'm in, which whether it's on purpose or not, I don't know, it's subliminal. And I get when I did the Traitors, I talk a lot about how accidentally my yellow suit was matching the chair. And there's a lot of stuff that didn't go into the edit where they asked me about the interiors and my clothes, because they sort of seem to blend. And in the Traitors, I did dress as Cluedo characters. And I often use fashion fabrics for clothes. So ticking is originally it's sort of fashion, it's actually for mattresses, but I use ticking a lot because it's very hard wearing and it's really cheap. Gingham, again, little gingham curtains in the bunks. It's about £10 a metre. I just had a thing for denim. So, and it's really cheap if you buy it from a market or like like a fabric wholesaler. Much cheaper than a lot of interiors fabrics. And it was at a beach house, and I decided that it would look nice with the colour scheme. And it's very practical and hard wearing. It was in a kitchen. So when I'm designing a home, the things that are really useful and things I always ask my client first, whether I'm doing the whole house or just a room, is what do they want from that room? That's the first thing. What are you going to be doing in this room? Who uses this room? How do you want this room to feel? If it's the whole house, it's almost like, how do you want it to flow? And I think you can do that just with colours as well. but who's there? I always sort of say, you know, the children here, how old are the children? Where do they like to hang out? Do you like all to hang out and watch TV together? Do you like to be in separate rooms? Are they teenagers? You know, what do they want from their rooms? And fundamentally, I always basically ask about the people living there, and that informs the design and what they need. So during COVID, I founded a charity called Design Havens for Heroes, where we did room makeovers for NHS workers. I was having a bath, which is where I have my best ideas. Not always best, but biggest ideas. And I'd been watching the news that evening, and there was a nurse on the news, and she was in floods of tears saying, please stay home. Honestly, just please stay home. You guys are so lucky to be at home. We're here in the hospital risking our lives. So what could we do to help them? We could make their homes nice for them to return to. And literally in one like big thought bubble, like light bulb, I was like, we could do room makeovers for the NHS. Didn't really think about the practicality of it. So I messaged a couple of local carpenters and a local fabric lady, and I said, I'm thinking of doing a offering room makeovers for the hospital. And they're like, yep, we'll sign up. Anyway, I have dyslexia. I went on Canva and made this sign, spelt heroes wrong. Messaged a few more people, and within about 3 days, I think it was, it'd gone viral. And suddenly, I think we had thousands of designers sign up. My phone crashed. I think 600 brands signed up, and there were Sofa.com, Farrow & Ball, every Tops Tiles, every brand you could possibly think of. And we did a paramedics room, we did a doctor in London, we did a midwife's room. The last one we did was a staff room, which the staff, it was in sort of Queen's Park area. They treat 22,000 people, and they had quite a sort of miserable staff room. But yeah, it was extraordinary.